What is the role, if any, of Congress that it could play constructively in this data problem that Facebook has?
Well, I think it's important, first of all, that Mr. Zuckerberg did confront the American people, did speak publicly last week to acknowledge his mea culpa and the issues that are impacting the national security of the American people. And so Congress does have an important role. Obviously, the announcement today of the FTC to investigate Facebook on the grounds of the 2011 consent decree opens the door for Congress to hold its own hearings. Last week, I asked for the Facebook executives, Mr. Zuckerberg in particular, to appear before the House Judiciary Committee. And the reason is because we have a regulatory authority over the FTC. We have concerns and jurisdiction over the issues of privacy, the issues of freedom of speech, but also the issues of due process. All of those impact the users whose data was harvested and utilized without their notice or their knowledge. So we need the hearings to be fact finders to write the right kind of regulatory scheme to ensure that the business element of Facebook continues. We have no desire to undermine the business element or the consumers, but we do have a responsibility, constitutional responsibility, to protect the American people from invasion of their privacy without their knowledge and without compensation.
We still haven't heard from Mr. Zuckerberg on your invitation to appear in Congress. Do you believe that if he refuses, he should be subpoenaed?
Well, I'd like to take one step at a time, and his representation was that if he had the knowledge that we needed to hear, then he would appear. I would argue or say to Mr. Zuckerberg, you do have the knowledge because you set the policies. That's just like the President of the United States that sets the policies for the nation. You set the policies. There are those in your company that implement the policy, but you set the policy. As you think and as you design Facebook is the direction that it will go. So absolutely, I believe he should appear before the Senate committees and the House committees. And if there is some challenge to that, then we can address that at that time. I would have confidence that Mr. Zuckerberg, from a business model, would certainly want to show the American people that he has nothing to hide. And all we want to do is not do a condemnation, but we want fact-finding and we want the truth. And I believe that legislation should be written in order to give the tech industries overall guidance from the United States Congress, from laws. And believe me, there are congresspersons who are strong advocates of the strength of tech industries, matching up with those who are strong constitutionalists, and out of that should come a bipartisan legislative initiative that really gives a framework on how to protect the American people, but at the same time continue the business model of the tech industry.
Congressman, I want to turn to another subject that you have been involved in for quite some time, and that is Russia, our relations with Russia. Just today, as you know well, the administration announced they'd be expelling 60 Russian diplomats in the United States at the same time that a number of European countries are expelling diplomats, all in support of the United Kingdom. What role, again, does Congress have to play in really our dealings with Russia?
We have a major role. Congress has a number of committees that have a number of jurisdictional responsibilities, from Homeland Security to Judiciary to the Intelligence Committee to Foreign Affairs. We provide, I think, the independent voice on national security and foreign policy matters. And we have for a long time had a bipartisan voice that Russia is, in fact, an adversary and frankly dangerous. And for a long time, the people in Congress who viewed Russia in that mode would advocate for a more stringent review of our policies with Russia. And of course, many presidents adhere to that. It is unfortunate that the president has not seen fit from the very beginning of the administration to, one, address the interference in the 2016 election, which obviously 17 intelligence agencies affirmed that, and we needed a strong voice to be heard. Russia does not respond, Putin does not respond to anything but a firm hand and a showing of power. And so I believe that the situation that we have with Cambridge Analytica and the connection of using various data to undermine the American people also falls into Russia, which is why this expulsion of these individuals, because they have undermined national security. And frankly, this is not only a way to respond to the heinous act of the poisoning of the 2 Russians in London, but it is also to make, I hope, a firm statement that we know what you are doing and we will not stand for it.
And of course, we do have the Russian investigation going on by the special counsel, Mr. Mueller. The Democrats weren't able to get language protecting the special counsel in the omnibus spending bill. Will you keep pushing? When do you think you'll have another chance?
I absolutely will, or we absolutely will. And let me take note of the fact, thank you, that 83% of Democrats, about 70+% of independents, and 57% of Americans believe that the special counsel's work should continue. Overall, 69% of the American people. So I have introduced legislation, H.R. 3654, the Special Counsel Independence Act, with 136 co-sponsors. Then now we've put forward a discharge petition to encourage and push and demand that a bill like this come to the floor of the House. There's other legislation as well for the members of Congress to vote on a simple bill. That is, that any firing of the special counsel would require a request by the Attorney General to the federal courts and a filing before the House and Senate Judiciary Committees. It is not to undermine the separation of 3 branches of government, but it is to protect Mr. Mueller's work or any other special counsel's work, because Mr. Mueller is continuing to look at a number of things, from Stormy Daniels, where there was a campaign finance violation, the continued use of Mr. Trump's properties, the emoluments clause is relevant to his work, and whether there's any criminal activity, and certainly the engagement of so many persons in the Trump administration and outside that engage with Russia or Russian operatives. And this is not a personal attack against the President of the United States. It is a question of adhering to the laws of the land and protecting the American people from foreign operatives, foreign persons engaging in our campaigns and moving the actions of the government based on intrusion by federal persons with other agendas, such as Mr. Putin.